views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
Are you ready? The Cornelia Stephanie Show, Wake Up to Love, your call to action. Join Cornelia as she empowers others to live heaven on earth. Cornelia teaches listeners how to be the authority over yourself, embracing your inner guru. Feel yourself uplifted into limitless expansion, integrating ease and grace in a changing world. This show will cover topics such as unconditional love, your physical body, how to be in extraordinary relationships, create financial and emotional wealth, embracing entrepreneurship in the new earth.
Cornelia Stephanie Show. My name is Carlenia Springer. I am her co-host, and today we have Liz Childs, who is going to talk to us about codependency. And I'm so honored to have you here, so excited to have you here. Liz is a therapist. She's a psychotherapist with 18 years of therapy experience, specializing in the treatment of trauma, anxiety, and depression. She's been in private practice for over 10 years now. She's a mental health first responder with a mobile crisis team that responds to domestic violence, school and work shootings, gang violence, homicide, and or rape and crime trauma. Liz is also a healing life coach and has her own coaching practice, Elizabeth Childs Coaching, LLC. And I'm just excited to have you here today, Liz. One thing I want you all to know about Liz is that she really cares about her patients and her clients. She's passionate about what she does. She's highly intuitive. And on this show, we talk a lot about intuition, and I think it really impacts the way that she approaches what she does. And so, Liz, I don't want to take up a lot of your time, but I just want you to say hello to our audience and just let them know a little bit about you, something that I haven't shared.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you. Well, that was an amazing introduction. You were very good at this. So like something that you haven't shared, let's see. I'm also an artist and I speak German, have studied abroad. I train in boxing. I'm also an ice hockey player.
Yes. See, and I meant to say something about your being an artist, because I have to tell you, when I saw what I thought was a picture that you had posted on Facebook, and you were talking about how you were trying to get the shadow right, I had to look like 2 and 3 times to see how that could have possibly been a painting. So I was remiss in not saying that, but she is a fabulous, fabulous artist.
Thank you. Actually, I know because most of your listeners are actually familiar with something that's called channeling. So I really believe that when I go into my artwork, it's like I just kind of out of body experience. Hours will pass, I will forget to eat, and I just get into it, and I'm just channeling, and it's so healing. And that's why I always tell people, you really want to go into something that speaks to your soul, that you get to express and be yourself. It's so nurturing. Really
yes.
Is.
I'm so glad you brought that up. I am so glad you see. I know anytime we connect, we just flow. And what Cornelia Stephanie has created here creates the environment for this to be a conversation that's okay. And I think it's a conversation that needs to take place in the space of mental health, because that whole conversation is what they codify and they medicate. And people are termed crazy, and they're not crazy. We're spirits in a body, and spirit has a way of operating that the body doesn't. And that you're a psychotherapist and understand that, I think, is very impactful for the people that you connect with.
Absolutely. And I think that it really, really furthers my work, because as soon as somebody walks in the door, being an empath and being both a receiver and a broadcaster, it makes me a little bit more rare out there. And it's a skill, it's a gift that, not many people have. So I get to utilize it and get like downloads and messages. And sometimes it's almost like psychically eavesdropping on people, because as soon as they walk in the door, I know where they are emotionally. And I start to get information that they haven't even told me. So sometimes I have to be kind of careful with it. I usually don't tell my patients about it, because sometimes people can get a little weirded out, especially if they're not open to that. But
right.
Then, but for people who are very much open to it, very spiritually aligned, they resonate with it, and they start going, oh, thank God, somebody understands me, somebody hears me, somebody knows what I'm going through and can relate, and really like get into that moment and just being present and giving them permission to just be themselves, to be in their energy, and to embrace not only their greatness, but also their shadow. And when we do that, it's like we get to be a whole person. We get to love our entire selves and create and be source of everything that we want in our lives.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that, because even the people who you can't say that to, I'm sure they feel like they don't know why, but oh my God, she gets me. And they have no idea why you get them, but that's it, because of what you see and feel as they walk in that door. And so I hope some people that are in the mental health field, that are psychotherapists or counselors or even teachers that have the same or similar abilities to what you have, I hope they hear this conversation, or somebody points them towards this conversation that we're having, so that they know that it's okay. Because if they know it's okay, then they won't block, what they know internally, what they know intuitively. So let's talk about codependency. Just tell us a little bit about what that is.
So codependency is really, it's a dysfunctional relationship where one person enables or helps another person to stay in their addiction, or like furthers enables their irresponsibility, poor mental health, immaturity, and abuse of any kind. And when we start to focus on, instead of speaking our truth, instead of having boundaries, what we do is we allow that other person to traverse our boundaries in order to keep them, in order to placate their feelings, in order to feel needed, to feel wanted. And what happens, you start having a very unhealthy dynamic and paradigm. And it's so incredibly hurtful, because you're not being your authentic self. And what happens is you end up not being yourself in the relationship, and you end up being like half of the person that you really could be. Because relationships are always going to be built on 3 different key components, and not just intimate relationships, any relationship. It's going to be about open communication. It's going to be about consistency and mutual respect. And any one of those 3 things is fallen by the wayside, then it's like it can't exist in a healthy state where both people can be transformed, uplifted, and love the other person for who and exactly what they are, where they are. And so in that dysfunctional paradigm, when they're not allowed to be themselves, because they're always constantly thinking, well, what are they going to think? What are they going to say? And, well, are they going to judge me? Are they not going to like me? Are they not going to stay? And like, so those, all of those become really big problems. So we start interacting with the person out of fear and scarcity. And then at that point, it becomes abusive, because that other person can actually utilize that against you. Or, they're not being their authentic selves. You're not holding them accountable. It becomes painful. And it, like, over long term, it can't last. And that's part of the reason why the divorce rate in this country is actually over 50% at this point.
Say that again.
The divorce rate in this country is actually over 50%.
Wow.
It's actually 51% right now. And part of it is like, we don't know ourselves. We don't love ourselves. So we end up settling because we are terrified to be alone. And that's really what codependency is. And it's so prevalent in our culture that we start going, I need you to love me so that I can prove that I'm lovable, that I can love myself, that I can love you so you can love me. And it's backward. It's so backward.
Yes. Tell me something. how could someone that finds themselves in that situation where they withhold because they want to please the other person, what is something that they can do to create a clear boundary when they find themselves in that space?
Well, the first part is actually, acknowledging the signs. There's always going to be signs to codependency, because it's becomes like really prevalent, because like most people, they have never even heard the term. And it actually comes from the addictions community. So, and most people have never even heard the term interdependence. So people just kind of go, they either sway to one side and become so incredibly independent that they're not even like interacting with other people. And it's kind of like, oh, well, I can do it myself. I don't need anybody. And it's like, well, that's also dysfunctional. And then, but like codependency is when it swings to the other side of like, I need someone to help me make decisions, to tell me how I should feel. I'm looking to them. It becomes a disease to please. And it's difficulty identifying their feelings, difficulty communicating things. And then they value other people's approval and their thoughts above their own. It becomes a worthiness conversation. And it's incredibly painful. And it's also lacking trust in their own selves and lacking self-esteem. So, and that's really ultimately where it comes from. And so being able to acknowledge and recognize those signs is going to be the first step. Because in to be able to change anything, we have to be able to acknowledge there's a problem first.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is, this is a really good conversation. I was watching you on Facebook, doing a Facebook Live talking about this. And you're right, there are these psychological terms or terms used in psychology. That's not everyday terms that people hear, and they're thrown about loosely. Oh, you're codependent. Oh, you're codependent. No, I've heard that. And I didn't always know what that meant. And to have you here and sharing with people, exactly what that is and breaking down what that looks like, because oftentimes I think that I know for myself, I used to think, oh, that person that's just how they are, not even realizing what my role was in that. So I want to thank you, for this level of insight and for your passion. We're getting ready to go to break in about a minute or so. But when we come back, we're going to talk about what codependency is. And I think you touched a little bit about where it comes from, because you talked about us not really loving ourselves. And so when we come back, I want us to talk a little bit about what that looks like to love ourselves, because we're not taught that, and we're trained and conditioned to look outside of us for answers and for solutions. And this is an inside job. And so I just want to thank you again, Liz, for being on here, and to just say to our community, we will be back. We're going to a commercial break. This is the Cornelia Stephanie Show, and we thank you for listening. We will be right back.
Tune in to Lucid Planet Radio with Dr. Kelly Neff. This hit show will illuminate your senses and empower you beyond your daily stressors and hardships. Renowned psychologist and author Dr. Kelly will captivate you with far-reaching topics and amazing guests as you wake to the greatest version of yourself. Learn to tap into your intuitions, think critically about our world, heal emotional and psychological wounds, and follow your passions to live your dreams. The Lucid Planet. Welcome home. Visit lucidplanetradio.com for more information.
Are you ready to embrace your essence and the magic of who you are? Let me, Emily Perkins, hold your hand and walk with you as we go treasure hunting for the gold that lies within you. Tune in to Love Living Radio every second and fourth Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com. For more information, visit LoveLivingHolistics.com.
The Knowledge Book, currently studied in 39 countries and 15 languages around the world, accelerates our evolution, takes us out of depression, offers universal truth, protects us, and makes us stronger, both spiritually and physically. So if you are interested in the Knowledge Book, visit usa.theknowledgebook.net and tune in to the Knowledge Book Radio with Marge Potasic on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
If you're dealing with fear and anxiety, you've probably noticed that the more you fight these emotions, the stronger they seem to get. Dr. Friedemann Schaub, the author of The Fear and Anxiety Solution, explains that instead of suppressing, we need to identify and resolve the deeper, subconscious root causes of fear and anxiety. His personal breakthrough program has helped thousands worldwide to overcome their emotional challenges. To learn more, visit thefearandanxietysolution.com and schedule your free consultation with Dr. Schaub now.
Healing has a ripple effect. One person's healing affects everyone around them. This is where the power of sharing our stories can be so important. Tune in to Playing on the Edge Radio with Megan Edge each month on Transformation Talk Radio, as Megan provides you with ways of sustaining radical and powerful changes in your life. Enact the power of radical change. To find out more about Megan Edge, visit her website at meganedge.ca.
Tune in to the Astral Insider, your portal for adventure, insight, and growth with Fernando Albert. And get ready to tour the astral realm, expand your life in ways you've never imagined, and call in for the journey of your life with this world-renowned lucid dreamer, astral projectionist, psychic medium, and healer, Fernando Albert. This is every second and fourth Monday at 9 a.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
Welcome back to the Cornelia Stephanie Show. This is Carlenia Springer with my guest, Liz Childs, and we're talking about codependency. We're going to talk about where does codependency come from. So Liz, tell us, where does codependency come from?
Codependency, like most mental health issues and behavioral patterns, comes from our family of origin. That's the most common root cause. So a lot of times, especially in the emotional intelligence community, and even in transactional analysis or even object behavioral, object relations theory.
You're going to have to tell us what that means, because I have no idea what those terms mean. What do those terms mean?
Oh, so there's different modalities of therapy, and there's so many different types. And a lot of times what we go into, even in cognitive behavioral therapy, there's usually something that we refer to as a negative core belief. And in emotional intelligence community, we actually refer to it as your story. And in transactional analysis, which is another modality, we refer to it as a schema. So it's kind of like a rote type of behavioral pattern that we learned and ways of being that we picked up from other influences. A lot of times it comes from our parents. So for example, in terms of relationships and marriage, we take the paradigm of what we learn from our parents' marriage or lack thereof, and we incorporate that into our own life. So if there are anything that's unresolved in the family of origin, a lot of times what people end up doing, most of the time it's completely subconscious, actually gets played out in a microcosm, either in a relationship in our lives, like a friendship, or with an intimate partner, or at work. And this happens so commonly. And it's basically, we create that microcosm, whether we're aware of it or not, in order to learn the lessons that we needed to, and to learn how to give ourselves what wasn't or couldn't be given to us. So a lot of times that story or those thoughts or those behavioral patterns, we get that from ministers. We get it from kids at school. We get it from teachers, friends. We get it from our families, cousins. It doesn't matter where it comes from, but what the most important part of it is the pattern of codependency of survival comes from, I have to please this person I have to make them happy. I have to care about what they think and how they're responding to me in order for me to survive. Because children are very egocentric. We have a tendency to think that, well, we don't think, oh, daddy's having a bad day. We think, I must be a bad girl.
Yes.
And we internalize. So what can I do to make dad happy? And not realizing that it doesn't have anything to do with us. What happens is we form an attachment and we go, but I have to please them because my survival depends upon that. Like pleasing those kids at school because everybody wants to be seen, heard, loved, and understood. I have to please them. So part of it is it becomes our identity. It becomes this overarching theme and story that we usually end up going, but I have to do this. And what happens is we don't stand for our own morals. We don't form an identity. We don't own what we like and dislike about ourselves. Therefore, we base our opinion and our self-esteem and our own self-worth and value on what other people's opinion is. And we do it so often in intimate relationships that it has actually become like the cultural standard. Like you'll actually hear, like many men will say, but I want to make her happy.
Yes.
The first thing I say as a therapist, as a coach, is that your job? And a lot of times they'll answer yes. No, it's not. My happiness is an inside job. I am responsible for that. So, and that's part of it. But where does it come from? It comes from a wounded self-esteem, from lack of identity, lack of confidence, lack of really owning my feelings and who I am, not because of what I'm trying to be for someone else. Because the truth of it is, I'm not who I think I am. I'm not who you think I am. I'm who you think I think that I am. And it's like that blew my mind the first time I heard it, because it's so accurate and it gets backward, because who you are is who you say you are. And you're the only one that gets to decide. It's not up to anybody else.
And so what would you tell a woman that finds herself in that situation and she's open and she's willing to take a look at her behavior? Not everybody is open, not everyone is willing, but she's open and she's willing. What would you tell her is the next step to begin to continue that process of healing and of reconnecting with herself authentically?
So there's a number of steps to stop being codependent. And the first step is stopping thinking that a relationship is the key to happiness.
Yes.
Because you're like, so happiness is a state of being. It's a thought process. It's not the end all be all. And relationships, anytime that I put my power and I put anything outside of myself, I'm setting myself up to fail. Because my happiness is not out there. It's not up to anybody else. So when I start thinking, but only if I had a man, or if I had this money, or if I had this car, if I had this kind of house, or if I had children, or if whatever it is, it's never ever an, well, if when. It's not an if-when scenario. It's not a yes-but scheme. It's, I am who I say I am. I am born worthy. It is my birthright. No one gets to tell me who I am or how I feel or how I should be. I get to decide. So the first part is stop thinking that relationship is the key to happiness. And like, I call that the Disney princess phenomenon.
You call it
like the Disney princess phenomenon.
Oh, the Disney.
I need someone to rescue me.
Yes.
It's like, no, ladies, you got this. You have everything that you need within you to have the life that you really want to have. And that's the key. You get to have the life you want to have. It's not about anybody else. But see, part of the problem is in our culture, in the westernized culture, we think that when we take care of ourselves, when we love ourselves, that we're being selfish. That has nothing to do with anything. Positive psychology and all the research has actually indicated to us that the more that we love ourselves, the more that we take care of ourselves, the more empowered we are, the more altruistic we become. I want other people to win. I want them to be themselves, authentically, loving. And then there is no separateness. That doesn't exist. That's an illusion. Like, you are no different from me. And it's like, so we actually get to love and we get to create. And it's not selfish. It's like we give more. Love is not love until you give it away. It's an action. It's a verb. Yes. It's not a thing. And it's not something to possess. And I have to make you love me in order for me to be worthy. No, backward. So another one, stop believing emotional intimacy is only for in like romantic relationships. It's not. But I would tell, like, you know, a lot of times when I have my clients and like my coaching clients and my patients, I tell them, spend time alone. You get to discover and love all aspects of you. Dark, light, doesn't matter. Yes. It only has the value you assign. So, like, be fearless. Face all those things. Face the things you don't like. And then start to own them. Because it's part of who you are, and all of you is worthy of being loved. So I tell people, meditation, journaling, art, movement, like, live in your body. Because so many things are psychosomatic, which means the mind is more powerful than the body. And that's where we get to go with that. So it's, you know, stop putting everything on hold when you get into a relationship. Stop going, well, when I have this, I'll X, Y, Z.
I'll do that. Yes. Yes.
We do it all the time and it doesn't work. And then another one is like, be tender with yourself. You get to have compassion for yourself first, because everything starts with you. If you don't love you, nothing can come out of that. Nothing good comes from that.
And I share that with women all the time, especially when they feel like a victim. And what you're talking about is owning your power. There's no victimhood in that. There's no villain and there's no victim, right? You are generating your source of your reality. Absolutely. And oftentimes we have to grow into that, because if you're in a space where you are experiencing that, you know, we'll have a different conversation until you can begin to see and move yourself out of that space. But what you're saying about embracing all of you, being compassionate and gentle, that's absolutely necessary for forward movement. So I want to thank you. You know, we're getting ready to go to break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about overcoming codependency. And I know you have a lot more to share with us, and you probably can talk to us for days on this topic. And I'm so excited because, like you said, it's become the norm, and there's nothing normal at all about this. Nothing is normal about this. So this is the Cornelia Stephanie Show, and I'm Carlenia Springer here with Liz Childs, and we'll be right back. We're going to a commercial break.
Tune in to Knowledge Book Radio with host Marge Potasic each Tuesday at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Through many experiences, Marge was led to the Knowledge Book, a gift to humanity in its transition to the Golden Age, and it provided the truth and the answers. She now shares information from the Knowledge Book with you each week on TransformationTalkRadio.com. For more information, visit usa.theknowledgebook.net.
Living Lighter Radio with Jason and Patricia. We have an ecosystem approach to your life. Tune in weekly every Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio as we, Jason and Patricia, discuss what's truly holding you back. We offer you the tools you need to reach your goals and at the same time be living lighter. For more information about Living Lighter, visit www.livinglighter.org.
TheAngelLady.net. 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 1-800-323-1790. 1-800-323-1790. 1790. Sue Storm. TheAngelLady.net.
Learn and explore fascinating and practical uses of essential oils, how to use them, and how they can enhance your everyday life. The Oil Lounge was founded by 3 remarkable women with fascinating stories about how essential oils changed their lives. Tina and Laura from The Karmic Path have joined forces to educate the masses in the benefits of Young Living essential oils. For more information, visit theoillounge.com.
This is Debbie Pokornik with a break-free parenting tip. If you haven't been practicing active listening or are getting into some bad habits, it's a good idea to go back to the basics and remind yourself how to be a good listener. Here's an idea that might help. When your child comes to you with a story about her day, set aside whatever you're doing and give her your full attention. If you're in the middle of something that can't be put aside, tell her that you really want to be able to give her story your full attention and ask if you could continue the conversation at a specific time. So for example, this sounds like an important story and I'd really like to give it my full attention. Can we talk about it in 10 minutes when supper's in the oven? Active listening might sound like common sense, but often it's these simple skills that get buried in our parenting pack and easily forgotten or overlooked. Challenge yourself to practice this skill for a full week and see if you notice a difference in how much your child is sharing.
For information and to work with Debbie, visit empoweringnrg.com.
Welcome back to the Cornelia Stephanie Show. This is Carlenia Springer with our special guest, Liz Childs. And I said we were going to talk about how do we overcome codependency. But before we talk about that, Liz is going to talk to us a little bit about how do you know the signs. So Liz, tell us, how do we know the signs? How can we tell that we're in a codependent relationship?
So how you can tell the signs is, one of the biggest things is anytime you go to make a decision and you don't feel confident enough and you start to doubt and question your ability to make the decision, and even once you've already made the decision, is like, and you start to question, you start to ask other people, well, what do you think of this? Well, do you think it's okay? Well, does this look all right? When you start to do that, and it's like, there's like, because here's the thing is being yourself, you get to do that unapologetically. And it's like, you don't have to rationalize it. You don't have to explain it. It's not up to anybody else. And we also get to, I love the term adulting. We get to actually be adulting when we take responsibility for our decisions, no matter what happens with them. So whether they're good or bad, it only has the value that we assign to it. But when we start looking and going, well, what is this person going to think? Well, what are they going to say? Well, are they going to leave me? Or, well, how do I feel about that? Did you ever do that? Like when somebody says, well, how do you, what's going on with you? What's wrong? How do you feel? And you kind of go, I don't know. And you hear that a lot. And I hear it so many times in sessions with people. And I'll be like, okay, so how are you feeling? And they'll just be like, I don't know. And be like, well, what were you thinking about? I don't know. It happens constantly. And so people don't know how to own their experience because they're terrified to spend time alone. If you're one of those people that you always have to have people around you, that you don't feel comfortable being alone, because there's a big difference between alone and lonely. And a lot of times we don't make that distinction. And when we have difficulty communicating, when I have difficulty telling you something and telling you my truth, that's an issue. That's a huge red flag. Or if I value your approval and your thoughts above my own, because that's not selfishness. That's just going, because I'm the one who's going to have to deal with the consequences, the repercussions. And it's also not trusting that it's like, this is the actual definition of resiliency, is I get to trust that I can handle whatever's coming down the road. Yeah. So for example, if I get more upset at the thought of you getting mad at me if I say something about how I'm feeling or my experience. If I'm more worried about how you feel about it, that's a huge red flag. And if I'm going, I have to do this in order to keep you, in order to keep that boyfriend. So for example, for ladies, if you're in a relationship and you feel obligated to say yes to a sexual encounter when you don't want to, or you're not in the mood because, but if he doesn't get it from me, he's going to go somewhere else. That's a huge red flag. That's a type of abuse. Because then I'm going, because if that's the case, that is not your person. That's a very unhealthy codependent dynamic. That's just one example. If I am constantly afraid, let's say in business, that somebody's going to leave, oh my God, but I need them. I need them to stay because without them, I would be totally screwed. And, the clients won't come back, or I won't make as much money, or what happens if my business folds? Then you're coming from a place of scarcity and fear. That also can become a codependent relationship. So any one of those is a huge red flag because you're not living authentically, you're not having integrity, you're not believing in yourself, and you're not trusting your ability to stay in your power and have love for yourself in that relationship.
Tell me something. How can you begin to have trust in your own power?
So part of so the first part is own your feelings, label them. One of the things that I do is a lot of times when I have couples that come in, and a lot of times it's very, very culturally acceptable that men do not acknowledge feelings. It's actually part of toxic masculinity, which I can totally talk about for all day as well. But a lot of times, I'll ask men, if I ask them, how are you feeling? I don't know. But if I say, what are you thinking? They'll tell me how they feel.
Yeah.
And so sometimes one of the things that I will do is to help people to own how they feel is I'll say, okay, so when someone says this, where do you feel that in your body? Where do you go? What was the first time you can remember feeling that way? And then you start getting them going into memory. And then they start, they will associate it with a person, a place, a time, and then ultimately a feeling. So getting you into your story of where it came from, acknowledging your feeling, starts to get you to the point where you're trusting of going, this is how I feel. And you know what? That's okay. Doesn't mean I have to act on it. Doesn't mean I have to do anything about it. Doesn't mean I get to blame anyone for it. And it's not up to anyone else to fix it for me. And in a relationship, it's not my job to fix my partner or to raise them. That's not my job. It's not even my job as a therapist, much less as a partner or as a friend. If you find yourself constantly giving in and telling them, allowing them to traverse your boundaries and never saying anything, that is codependency. Because you're more focused on what it means for them and not standing for yourself. So overcoming codependency, you begin to learn, how do I feel? Where does my negative conversations come from? Where's my story? And learning how to love myself. And it starts with one decision. One decision. I want to love myself. And that starts a journey. It is a process. And it's so being honest with yourself and learning how you work and honoring that is the first step. It's that's really it. And it's that's why I urge people, if you don't see a therapist, if you don't see a coach, find a mentor, find a friend, someone who supports you, that uplifts you. And notice I said supports you, not helps you. I do not hold my clients or my patients as helpless. You're not helpless. You have power. You have influence. You intuitively know what is going to be best for you. And then you get to discover that if you've lost touch with it. So I tell people, you have the answers. And I can't tell you that, but I can be a guide. And so part of it is going into that meditation, going into that sacred place and like owning those parts of yourself that sometimes hurt. And like in being able to acknowledge that, you also heal and release it. And you actually will literally detox from it. It's so incredibly liberating.
Say that again about the detox. I want people to really get that.
So when I was telling you earlier about when like everything is absolutely psychosomatic, the mind is more powerful than the body. When you do not speak your truth, when you do not acknowledge yourself, when you don't love yourself and you're not taking care of yourself, and you're not in your body and fully present in any relationship, anywhere in your life, what happens is the body never forgets. Trauma, things that happen to us, like back pain, knee pain, when we get that lump in our throat, when we clench our jaw, when our vision can go blurry, when we have anxiety, when our chest gets tight, all of those things, it's like your mind is telling your body to move, to really express and to heal. So when you speak your truth, when you own who you are, when you love who you are, you start to detox. It actually, your body literally releases those pent up feelings all the time. I don't know if any of your viewers have ever heard of Louise L. Hayes.
Oh yeah, I love Louise Hay. Yeah.
Right. In her book, I think it's
Heal Your Body, Heal Your Life.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And it's like one of the things she talks about, she's like, it actually has a code in the back that like if you're in pain in a specific part of your body, it tells you the feelings and things that are associated with it emotionally. And it's like, so emotionally, when you start to own that, you start to heal. Because here's the law of observation. We cannot notice a problem and not begin to have an effect and a change on it. So just the acknowledgement is healing. Acknowledge yourself. Celebrate the small wins. And when we do that consistently, as we start to heal, it's so powerful. It is so powerful.
There, what you said was absolutely powerful. Do me a favor. We're getting ready to go to break, but just tell people how they can connect with you.
Absolutely. So you can look for me, Elizabeth Childs Coaching on Facebook. You can send me a friend request to Liz Childs as well on Facebook. That's my personal page. I'm on Instagram under Heal Your Inner Childs with _ between each word. And you can also email me directly at elizabethchildscoaching@gmail.com.
Thank you. And so this has been the Cornelia Stephanie Show. We're not done yet. It's Carlenia Springer with Liz Childs, and we'll be right back after this commercial break.
Are you your story? Or can you change your story? Can you change what you believe to be true about yourself and your circumstances as part of your healing journey? What if you were to change your expectations? What if you were to invite ease and cooperation into every day and then step back and see what happens? It might just be easier. I'm Megan Edge, and I hope that you'll join me on my new radio show, Playing on the Edge, Radical Change with Ease, with my co-host Dr. Pat on Transformation Talk Radio. I look forward to seeing you there.
Want to find out more about Megan Edge? Visit her website at meganedge.ca.
Are you searching? Looking for a sign? A message you need to hear? From the great unknown from the most mysterious place that is the most familiar to your soul in the depths of who you are. The universe put someone here to talk to, someone God gave a blessing to, that you may find insight with. TheAngelLady.net. 1-800-323-1790. 1-800-323-1790.
Calling all ladies. Are you struggling with neck, back, shoulder pain, or postural issues? You actually might have a related bra problem. Talk to Maria Monti at the Healthy Bra Company. She is a professional postural therapist who offers custom-fitted, custom-altered bras in 2,500 size combinations specific to your body type, shape, size, anatomical features, and breast weight. Call Maria today to find out more at 360-815-3205.
On the cutting edge of the new mainstream, Christine Upchurch is passionate about bringing together science, psychology, and spirituality in a way that can be applied to our everyday lives for true transformation. The Christine Upchurch Show, stellar conversations to illuminate your journey, engages some of the most outstanding visionaries on the planet in lively dialogue to inspire you to become that bright light you're meant to be. Join Christine every Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific Time on KKNW, AM 1150, and Transformation Talk Radio.
Did you know that all of the shows on the Transformation Radio Network are available as podcasts to stream or download?
Really?
Check us out. Go to transformationradio.fm. We have business shows, spiritual shows, energy healing shows, and pretty much everything in between. Something for everyone, guaranteed to inspire, educate, and transform. We are transforming the world, one listener at a time.
Welcome back to the Cornelia Stephanie Show. This is your co-host, Carlenia Springer, and our special guest, Liz Childs. I'm going to have Liz just tell us one more time how we can reach her, how we can get in touch with, how can we get in touch with you?
So you can find me on Facebook. You can send me a personal request at Liz Childs. It's my personal page. And then there's my free coaching page, which is just Elizabeth Childs Coaching. And you can also see me on Instagram, which is Heal Your Inner Childs with an S at the end. It's underscore between each word. You'll see me there. You can also reach me via email. It's just elizabethchildscoaching@gmail.com. So I'm very easy to get a hold of. It's no problem. I am accepting new coaching clients. And also, if you're in my area, I am accepting new patients.
And what area is that? I know you're in my area.
Actually, I live in Maryland, yes. My private practice is actually in Ellicott City.
Okay. All right. So during the break, we were having a conversation about playing small. I just want you to talk to the audience about codependency and playing small.
So playing small, it was like a term that I very first heard of when I was in my emotional intelligence class. And so playing small just means that you're not living up to your full potential. You're not living up to your greatness. You're actually just playing small and settling. You're settling for mediocrity. You are settling to just kind of live on the scraps of what other people are willing to give you. It's not being authentic and integrous. And it's just playing small and hoping that you don't get hurt. But here's the kicker of it, is playing small or lone wolfing, all of those different things, it's ultimately you're paying the cost for it. Because we get into relationships that don't serve us, that don't work, that we're not happy. Ultimately, we end up hating ourselves. We end up resenting the other person. We get under control and then we end up being abused or becoming abusive. And in all of those ways, no one wins. But part of it is taking the risk. We risk judgment. We risk somebody getting mad at us. We risk, being alone. We risk looking stupid, being embarrassed, having to explain things to our family, or just sometimes being faced with our true inner selves. And here's the thing is growth can only happen when you are uncomfortable, because there's a very, very large portion of life. There's like, it's almost like a pie chart. There's a small percentage of the things that you know. Then there's another percentage of the things that you don't know. Where the magic happens are the things that you don't know. And how do you get there? Get messy, get uncomfortable. Like, you don't want to face yourself, you get to face yourself, you get to love yourself, you get to actually embrace all the messiness, the roles, the stretch marks, the jealousy, the anger, the hatred, the victim, all of those things that you're going, but I don't want to be that. Be that and love yourself anyway. And it took me a long time to do that, but it all started with one decision. I chose to love myself because it's not up to anybody else.
That is so powerful. Right now, I'm at the Phenomenal Women's Rockstar Revolution. Can barely get that out. But a 3-day event held by Dr. Janine Staples. And one of the things she said before we broke for lunch was that when you begin to embrace your pain, that anger, the rage, the sadness, the feelings of helplessness, loneliness, all of these things, you are embracing your humanness.
Yes.
You are embracing your experiences so completely that when another woman comes to you and she can't barely speak because she's so ashamed of what she has done, you already understand because you've been there. You don't judge her, but you can listen to her with compassion. And that's how we heal the world. That's how we heal ourselves. It's how we heal the world. So as you heal, I heal.
Yeah, and you know what? I would honestly tell every single one of your listeners. I've had so many times when patients or like clients will come into my office and they will say, like, well, I'm too embarrassed, or I don't, well, you probably never heard this before, or this I'm just weird, or there's something wrong with me. Here's the thing: you're not broken. You're not broken. You don't need to be fixed. No one gets to fix you. People are not toasters. They're not TV. You don't have repairs. Life is rigged in your favor. Everything that happens to you, and I won't be as trite to say everything happens for a reason. What I choose to look at and like in trauma, because all of us have had life happen to us. We've had horrific things happen to us. We've been hurt. We've been there. That's how we get to have empathy. And we get to learn to look at, what did I learn? And then, does it serve me? Does it serve me? And do I get to continue this way? And it's like, what's on the other side of that risk? And here's the thing. What's on the other side is your absolute freedom. Because we think of things as fault or blame or shame. And it's like, toxic shame is like, it becomes like, it's the difference between I made a mistake and I am a mistake. Those are two very, very different things. And it's like, we get to look at like, well, where did it come from? How did I source that? And what do I get to learn from it? And then we get to go, okay, so if that's the case, where do I get to shift and change? Where do I get to love myself? And then I get to step into my power. I get to own all of it. And in that, I become unstoppable. Yeah. The only thing that ever stops you is you.
And I want you to say that about the shame again, because there is no purpose in sitting in a place of, any of you are sitting in a place of guilt or shame. There is no purpose to that. That's suffering. That is suffering.
That's needless suffering. Mm-hmm. There's needless suffering. Needless suffering. I tell my patients all the time. There's a difference between suffering, because we learn by suffering. Because people get to be in, like, that's the only thing that actually creates lasting change. I was just telling my client that this morning. The only thing that creates lasting change is suffering, because we're either going to learn or we're going to grow. Like, it's like, you're either, as my coach always says to me, you're either green and growing or ripe and rotting. So it's like, and that's where the discomfort is. And so when we have like shame and toxic shame. Shame is natural. We have shame. If I go outside butt naked, then there's going to be shame. There's going to be embarrassment because it's not culturally acceptable. Toxic shame that's poisonous. That's when I'm going, but I am the mistake. And there is a huge difference. So we get to own what happens to us and we get to be accountable. So when I take responsibility, I become responsible. And then I am able to shift and change and learn and grow from that, no matter what happened. And I get to have compassion and empathy for myself and for everyone else. That is how we will change the world, one person at a time.
I want to thank you for being on here. We have 1 minute left, and this has been a very powerful conversation. I know we're going to have another conversation on here at some point because so many people are struggling with this. But before we go, I just want to thank you, Liz, for coming on here and just sharing your heart and the work that you do. Please let our audience know how they can reach out to you.
Sure, absolutely. You can reach me, Liz Childs on Facebook. Just send me a friend's request, or you can just private message me on Facebook Messenger. You can also find me at Elizabeth Childs Coaching on Facebook. It's a free coaching page. You can also see me on Instagram, Heal Your Inner Childs, and it's _ between each word. And you can email me directly at elizabethchildscoaching@gmail.com.
So thank you so much again. I want to thank Cornelia Stephanie, my co-host. And this has just been an incredible 1 hour talking about this topic. I hope those of you who are listening either live or to the replay are really, truly blessed by what you've heard. And I would ask you to implement at least one thing that Liz shared today. Thank you again, Liz. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
You've been listening to the Cornelia Stephanie Show, Wake Up to Love, your call to action. Tune in each week on Transformation Talk Radio. Cornelia's joy is to engage others in practical ways, showing us how to live in the new earth in harmony with our true nature. For more information on Cornelia and her extraordinary work, or to listen to past shows, go to her website at corneliastephanie.com.